we heard that you were challenging Usyk to a street fight in MMA. Is that true?
Well, yeah, he called me out to do MMA.
And we're talking about heavyweight Usyk, who beat Tyson Fury.
Yeah, he wants to fight me in MMA, and our teams are talking, and I'm interested in it.
That'd be huge.
In a twist that could shock boxing fans worldwide, Oleksandr Usyk's team is now reportedly in talks for a fight with none other than Jake Paul.
To be honest, that scares me more than any of the other like, that scares me more than fighting Anthony Joshua for sure.
But you know Usyk's a wrestler.
I think, yeah, he's like an Olympic wrestler or
he
some
knows how
shit.
to wrestle.
Whoa. Olympic wrestler?
Usyk's a dog. He knows how to wrestle, he knows how to fight, he knows how to kill.
The undefeated, undisputed heavyweight champion, who recently secured his place in boxing history with a dominant win over Daniel Dubois, might face off with the YouTube sensation-turned-boxer in a high-stakes MMA showdown. Usyk's manager, Sergey Lapin, confirmed that discussions are taking place for a mixed martial arts battle, with the two fighters potentially clashing early next year. Lapin revealed that while most fighters have been calling out Jake Paul for a boxing match, Usyk's team is considering something different. Usyk, who has made a name for himself as one of the most skilled heavyweights in the world, would need to adapt quickly to MMA, which would make the fight a much more unpredictable spectacle. According to Lapin, this non-standard match could become a global event, drawing massive interest and setting the stage for a historic showdown. But despite the buzz surrounding this unexpected matchup, not everyone is thrilled about it. Fans of traditional boxing are far from convinced that Usyk should entertain a bout with Jake Paul, especially when there's a pressing mandatory defense waiting in the wings. That mandatory challenger is none other than Joseph Parker, who is growing increasingly frustrated with the situation. Parker's team has made it clear that they haven't had any serious discussions with Usyk's camp about a potential fight, and time is running out. The WBO, one of boxing's 4 major sanctioning bodies, has already ordered Usyk to face Parker or risk losing his WBO title. Usyk had 30 days from the date of the order to negotiate terms, but as of now, no talks have been initiated. This is a worrying development for Parker, who is desperate for a shot at Usyk's undisputed heavyweight titles.
Jake Paul was in the ring with him afterwards, right? And say what you like about Jake Paul pretending he's a proper boxer and that he can beat up AJ, what have you. The dude generates mental money, crazy money. And if Oleksandr Usyk wants to fight him, I wouldn't care. You know, like most boxers, when I see them call out Jake Paul, I think, come on, man.
You don't care because he deserves to...
That man can do what he wants.
Yeah.
That man can do anything he wants. And if he can get paid £50 million to knock Jake Paul's spark out, I'd be front row cheering.
Listen, I saw Jake Paul and I said congratulations to him because he proposed his lovely wife to be. And I said, listen, keep doing what you're doing. You know, because I remember when Teki Al-Sheikh came in the game, he goes, well, we don't promote it on YouTube boxing.
Yeah.
And I was like, why did you say that? What did you? I was like to myself, why did he say that? Don't he know the force of these young guys? Jake Paul, KSI, Logan Paul, you know, Speed. Man, these guys are mega gods in the YouTube game.
Yeah.
They don't need nobody. They do it themselves. They've been doing it since they were young kids. And when he said that, I was like, why? And then fast forward later on, he's taking photos with Jake Paul, KSI, Speed. He realized he cannot beat these young kids. So what you do? You join them. Yeah, because this guy's out on fire. Yeah. When I saw this is not like a prop of trying. He's a content creator. Yeah. You use this down the line when Usyk's retired and say, no, I'll give it a go. Why not? For charity in Ukraine, there's nothing wrong with it.
Parker's manager, David Higgins, has been vocal about the lack of communication, expressing frustration that Usyk hasn't engaged in any dialogue. Higgins made it clear that if the situation continues, Parker could be elevated to WBO world champion by default. Parker, a former WBO title holder, has been on the comeback trail, stringing together impressive wins over fighters like Deontay Wilder, Zhilei Zhang, and Martin Bacol. Still, the New Zealander feels he's being overlooked in favor of more marketable matchups, like a possible trilogy between Usyk and Tyson Fury.
Now, given that you are such an admirer of his, and you appreciate the skill because you're an appreciator of skill, what makes you think that you've got the toolkit to dethrone him?
I believe wholeheartedly in my ability and what I can do in the ring. I have full confidence that give me a good camp or give me some time to put in the work with Andy Lee and George Lockhart. Want to come up with a good game plan, probably different to everyone else's one, and just work hard.
But given you have had one round
I know.
since March 24, is it the right move for you to take this opportunity rather than having a fight in between it to get yourself into a situation where you're really in the zone?
That is a good question, because I've had one fight in 2024, one this year, and activity is key, and he's been very busy, Usyk.
What is the reason behind you only having one round, Joe? Like, politics of the sport?
I have no idea.
You've been knocking on the door, you
I've
wanted
been
the
knocking on the
opportunity.
door, I've been asking for any fight and every fight. Who knows, right?
There's a palpable sense of disappointment from Parker's camp, with Higgins pointing out that despite Parker's accomplishments in the ring, Usyk has yet to show any genuine interest in defending his titles against him. After Usyk's recent victory over Dubois, Parker was quick to express his desire to face the Ukrainian, but Usyk's comments after the fight seemed to downplay Parker's chances. Instead, Usyk mentioned other potential opponents, including Tyson Fury and Derek Chisora, leaving Parker feeling somewhat disrespected. Higgins said, "Last time I spoke to Frank Warren, who promotes Parker in the UK, there had been no engagement. That is what I was told a couple of days ago. It's boxing. Anything can happen. You don't rule anything in or out, really. But I think Usyk would have engaged by now in a discussion or a negotiation if he wanted to retain and defend his undisputed heavyweight world titles." Higgins has made it clear that Parker would rather face Usyk in a title fight and lose than be handed the belt without having earned it in the ring. The manager has urged Usyk to recognize Parker's long journey to a title shot, noting that his fighter has put in years of hard work and faced some of the toughest competitors in the division. For Higgins, it's not just about the title, it's about giving Parker the respect he believes he deserves. He further added, "It's a disgrace to the sport that you cannot earn a heavyweight world title shot on merit. All this Mickey Mouse rubbish. Talk of Joshua fighting Jake Paul. If Usyk doesn't take the fight, Joshua should step up, back himself, and fight Parker for the vacant title. Joseph would rather fight Usyk and lose than get given the belt." On the other hand, some heavyweight fighters are growing tired of Usyk's stranglehold on the division. Lawrence Okolie, a rising star in the heavyweight division, has called on Usyk to relinquish the belts so that others can have their shot. Okolie, who fought on the undercard of Usyk's bout with Dubois, believes that Usyk is holding up the entire division. He argues that if Usyk doesn't defend his title soon, it will create a logjam in the division, with top fighters like Parker, Fury, and even younger contenders like Okolie being forced to wait for their chance.
Undisputed champion, all it shows it's the best in the division. When it comes to winning the world title shot, it almost holds up the division in a sense.
Yeah, of course. Everyone's begging Usyk now. Every boxer, every heavyweight boxer, every heavyweight trainer, every heavyweight manager, every heavyweight promoter is just like, Usyk, you've done it. You've done it, well done. You've beaten everyone twice. Sail off. They're not just saying that because they don't want to see him lose. They're saying it because he's holding up all the belts. Like, so it's like, let them all go. Let everyone else have a Royal Rumble. Because otherwise, whether or not any of us believe we can beat Usyk isn't the point. That means you're stuck to all the belts are being challenged for.
Okolie's frustration stems from the fact that Usyk is now at a point where he's being asked to defend his titles on multiple fronts. The WBO has already ordered him to face Parker, and other governing bodies are likely to follow suit. unless he takes action soon. Okolie, who has shown promise in the division, believes that Usyk should either face Parker or vacate the belts and allow the rest of the division to compete for them. He even suggested that Usyk could still fight for his own personal satisfaction, like a high-profile exhibition with Tyson Fury. But the reality is that the belts are what everyone is after, and Usyk's delay is causing frustration among his peers.
Once or twice a year. So there's 4 interim guys waiting. They have to wait 2 years each, depending on which one gets called first. So you do want to see it get divided, and then there could be another push towards a further undisputed in the future. So yeah, I think everything does sort of wait on Usyk, but I think something tells me maybe it's just wishful thinking that, you know, if he doesn't box Parker next, with the WBO ordered it, why would you let go of one and not let go of all of them, and then just have your own exhibition match or your own fight against, do you know what I mean, Fury or whoever it's going to be again? So we have to wait and see.
Meanwhile, the buzz surrounding Jake Paul continues to grow, with many still skeptical about his ability to handle top-tier fighters. Paul's most recent victory over the fated Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. in June has added fuel to the fire, with many speculating about who he'll fight next. While Paul has been linked to a possible showdown with Anthony Joshua, the idea of a fight between Paul and Usyk has suddenly gained momentum. Eddie Hearn has weighed in on the potential clash between Jake Paul and Anthony Joshua, calling it a mismatch. Hearn is adamant that Joshua would easily defeat Paul, but he also acknowledges that the fight could be a major financial draw. Both men have massive followings, and the fight would undoubtedly sell tickets, even if it seems more like a spectacle than a legitimate athletic contest.
Together, we kind of went through the contractual points, and there aren't really any major barriers to make this fight. I want to make it clear. I'm not sitting here telling you I'm calling for this fight. You know, we've been targeting this fight. I think the fight's a mismatch. I think AJ destroys him. But if Jake Paul wants this fight and he's serious, the fight will happen.
Despite Hearn's dismissal of the fight's competitive balance, discussions between the two sides have already begun. Nakisa Badarian, the management team behind Jake Paul, has confirmed that talks are in progress to bring Paul and Joshua together in early 2026. The proposed fight would take place once Joshua recovers from his recent elbow surgery, and Paul is confident that he could upset the former heavyweight champion, who has had a tumultuous few years since his loss to Andy Ruiz Jr. in 2019.
So if people were comfortable with Francis getting in there with AJ, Jake, who is now 13 fights in, plus 1 amateur fight, a lot less than AJ, but much more than Francis Ngannou, I think we're very comfortable with it. Ultimately, it's not a fight that I want Jake to do. It's a fight that Jake wants to do. And that's a discussion we've had at length, and he feels very confident about where he is in his career and his chances of upsetting Anthony Joshua.
As for Joshua's team, they're less enthusiastic about the potential matchup. Joshua's trainer, Ben Davison, has made it clear that he isn't in favor of the fight, calling it a mismatch and stating that Joshua is not motivated by money. Despite this, conversations between Joshua's camp and Jake Paul's representatives continue, and while the fight may seem far-fetched, it's clear that the money-making potential is there.
AJ Jake Paul, is it happening?
I don't know,
Are you, like, obviously...
Am I an advocate for it? No, absolutely can't.
No, but I'm just saying, numbers-wise and how big the fight is, can you get your head around that to allow it to happen, etc.?
I don't know, I think AJ's not overly interested in that sort of stuff, do you know what I mean? But I don't know, I don't make decisions for him, do you know what I mean? But
in an unexpected turn, even Tyson Fury has weighed in on the discussion, offering a bold prediction that Jake Paul could actually defeat Joshua. Fury, known for his outlandish statements, went so far as to say that he would put £1 million on Paul if the two were to fight. While it's likely that Fury is using the opportunity to take a jab at Joshua, his comments only add to the spectacle surrounding Paul's potential ascent in the boxing world.
There's been some talk about possibly Joshua using Jake Paul as a tune-up to fight you. What are your thoughts on that?
I don't know about tune-up. I think Jake Paul knocks him out.
Seriously?
Yeah.
Why so? What impresses you about Jake Paul?
I just think Jake Paul would knock AJ out. I think AJ's a spent force, and I think Jake Paul's on the rise. And I like his new heavyweight look. Bit chubby, bit bulky.
However, for many boxing purists, this proposed fight remains a sideshow to the real action in the heavyweight division. The focus remains on the likes of Usyk, Fury, and Joshua, the established names who have fought their way to the top of the sport. But with each passing day, the lines between exhibition and real competition continue to blur, and it's clear that the world of heavyweight boxing is shifting in ways that no one could have predicted. As the world waits to see what Usyk's next move will be, the heavyweight division is in a state of flux. With potential fights against Parker, Fury, and even Jake Paul on the horizon, it's clear that 2026 will be a year to remember for the sport, whether fans like it or not.